Hi, and welcome to the Kentucky 4-H Virtual Experience. I'm Laurie Thomas with the University of Kentucky Forestry and Natural Resources Extension, and I'm here today to show you how to make leaf prints. Making leaf prints is a quick way to make your leaf collection because you can collect your leaves and make your leaf prints all in the same day. You don't have to wait the 2 weeks of pressing your leaves when you actually do an actual leaf collection. So today, that's what we're going to do is learn how to make leaf print, and you can turn those leaf prints into a 4-H leaf collection that can be submitted to your county fair and if it wins, it can go on to the state fair. The purpose of the leaf collection, or in this case, the leaf print collection, is to familiarize 4-Hers with the vast diversity of trees that we have in the state of Kentucky. Kentucky has over 120 different native trees, so you can make really wonderful collections. But if you are doing this for a 4-H project, the first year project, you'll need to collect 10 different native leaves and identify those correctly. Or if it's a second year project, you will collect 20 different native leaves and make your collection or your prints and identifying them correctly. And we also have a third year collection now where you collect 50 different native leaves to make your collection. All right. So the first step in doing a leaf collection, or in this case, the leaf print collection, is to find a tree that you like and identify it correctly. So let's go find a tree. Found or picked out the tree that I want to include in my leaf print collection. And I picked it out because I thought the leaves looked kind of neat. And I feel pretty confident this is a native tree. Since I'm in a natural areas park, the trees that are here are going to be native to Kentucky. Now, when you're in a neighborhood or probably more like a neighborhood, you might be careful about making sure those trees are native or not, because a lot of times we plant trees that aren't native because they do well here as well. But if you're at a state park, a national park, or a natural areas park in your county, more than likely the trees you're going to find are going to be native. So once you've picked out your tree, for whatever reason, like me, I liked these leaves, the next step is identifying this tree. There are a lot of different resources you can utilize to help you identify this tree, and I'm going to share a couple of my favorites with you. One that I really like is the Tree Finder, a manual for the identification of trees by their leaves. And this is a dichotomous key. It's going to ask you questions and eventually narrow it down to get to that identification of the tree. You can get these from Amazon for about $5, so it's a great little bargain, and it's pocket size, so it's nice. Another one that is also very useful and is also really useful for your 4-H projects because it's going to give you additional information about the trees is a University of Kentucky publication, and it's called Identifying Kentucky's Forest Trees, and its publication number is FOR1. You can purchase these through the UK Department of Forestry and Natural Resources by sending us an email, or you can give us a call and we can get this out to you. These are $3 a piece. And these books have a key included with them that's going to get you to the family of trees. It won't get you to that actual tree, but it will get you to the group of those trees. And then another one that I just recently found is put out by the Arbor Day Foundation, which is also a dichotomous leaf key as well. So it makes it easy to use. It's visually driven, simple questions, and it's called What Tree Is That? And you can order these through the Arbor Day Foundation. And another resource beyond a book would be using something like Virginia Tech's online dichotomous key. And it's all done with pictures and questions as well. The only problem with that is you're going to have to take your sample, collect your sample, and take it back to your computer to use it. So you're not going to maybe be able to answer all the questions. And then lastly is a free app that you can download to your phone. It's called iNaturalist. And if you do download it to your phone, make sure you get permission or you have your parents download it to their phone as well. And with that, you're actually going to just take a picture of your leaf, and it's going to give you a list of possibilities. Now, it won't always get it right, so that's why it's good to start with that dichotomous key, and then use maybe the iNaturalist to confirm what you have identified. Now that you've identified your tree, and I identified this as a yellow poplar, I used my dichotomous key and actually used iNaturalist to confirm that this is a yellow poplar. We also call it tulip poplar or tulip tree in the state. And for some of you out there, a little quiz, what's our state tree? That's right, it's the yellow poplar or tulip poplar. Now that I've identified it, I've collected my sample, I've gotten just one leaf, and I'm gonna put it in my notebook. and set it in there. And then I want to write down what I identified this as. And I would write down yellow poplar in there. And I'm putting it in the notebook so that it'll keep it nice and fresh, and it won't get crumpled up. It'll keep it good and flat until I can make my leaf print when I get back home. So now that we've got our leaf, let's go make our leaf print. All right, now that we've collected our leaves, we want to bring it back to a nice sturdy table so you can make your leaf prints. So now that we're here, we're going to get out our supplies for leaf prints. And there's not a lot for them, which is handy. The first thing you want to make sure you've got some kind of paper, and I recommend a cardstock, something that's firmer than a sheet of paper. It needs to be 8.5x11 in size, and preferably white or a light color, like an off-white or something. Anything that's got a lot of color, your print's not going to show up on it as well. So you want cardstock, you want a piece of scrap paper, and you want to get your ink out, your ink pads. And I've got two different kinds here. I've got a larger ink pad, and this one's kind of nice because you can usually get the whole leaf on it, but you can't always find these. These will come more from an art supply store or a larger craft store like Michael's. Or you could get a smaller ink pad, and you're just going to move this around on your leaf to ink it up. And these are inexpensive, and you can get these at most stores that have a small craft section. The next thing you might want to have handy is the 4-H Forestry Project publication, Introducing Yourself to Trees. In this publication, it's got a lot of good background information about Kentucky trees and about forests. In addition, it lists all the instructions for all the 4-H forestry projects that can be done and submitted for your county fair and then eventually for state fair as well. And in it, it's got step-by-step instructions for making a leaf print collection. Okay. So now that we've got all of our supplies together and we have our leaf, the first thing I want to talk about when you're doing your leaf print is you want to make sure when you're looking at your leaf, you've got a front side or the top side of the leaf, and then you've got the back side of the leaf or the underneath side of that leaf. And that's the side you're going to want to ink up, because if you feel that leaf, you can actually feel the veins on the underside. You're not going to feel those on the top side, so you won't get a good print if you tried to do it from the top. You want to always ink it from underneath. Before we actually do our leaf print, I suggest that you make the label that's going to be on the page of your leaf print. And for the label, it's always going to be, and I've got an example of one right here, it's always going to be in the lower right-hand side of your sheet where you've done the leaf print. As you can see that here, we've got our leaf print and we have our label. And the label is going to include the common name of the tree. In our case, it was yellow poplar. And then it's going to include the scientific name. And this is going to be the genus and the species name of that tree. And you can find that in your FOR1. I was going to say in this booklet here, you can, Identifying Kentucky's Forest Trees, you can find the scientific names in there. And we had yellow poplar. So if we kind of zoom in there, you can see yellow poplar, and it has its scientific name, the genus and the species, and that's Liriodendron tulipifera. The genus name should always be capitalized, that first letter, and the species name, which is the second one, should never be capitalized. It's always going to be lowercase. And these should be either underlined or in italics if you're doing this on a computer when you're doing it for your label. So your label can be handwritten or it can be typed up. The next thing you're going to put is the common use for that tree, the most common use for the tree. And again, those can be found in Identifying Kentucky's Forest Trees. You're going to put the county it was collected in. And these may be different depending on if you got your trees from different places. But for me, mine was collected here in Fayette County. And then we're going to put the date that it was collected, and that should be the month and the year. And then you're going to put where that tree, the tree's habitat, where that tree was growing. Now, if you've got this in a park or maybe in your yard, you might want to look up again in Identifying Kentucky's Forest Trees, because it's going to list the habitat where those trees normally are found growing. Okay, so now I've made the label on my cardstock for my yellow poplar. I've got my common name, yellow poplar, the scientific name, Liriodendron tulipifera, and I underlined it since I'm just hand printing this. And I've got its common use is lumber. It's a very common lumber in the state. I collected it in Fayette County. My date is September 2020. And its habitat is, it's a forested tree, and it grows usually mid-slope in a moist forest. All right, we finished the label. Now we're ready to make our leaf print. And remember, when you ink up your leaf, you want to do the back side or that underside of the leaf where you can feel the veins in the leaf. That's going to really make a really good print. So I've chosen my green ink pad. It's nice and big. I kind of like this one. Open up my ink pad. I'm going to take my leaf and putting the back side of my leaf down on my ink pad. And this is where my scrap paper is going to come in handy, because this way I don't have to ink up my hand. I'm going to lay my scrap paper on my leaf, and now I'm going to rub my finger across my leaf so it's pushing that leaf down on that ink pad, inking it up really good. Getting a good ink on there, and you can see it's even coming through. Get a little bit of the stem as well. Okay, I think I've got a pretty good ink on there. I'll take my scrap paper off, and you can see the ink on the back side of the leaf. It looks really good. Carefully lay this down in the center of my page, and now I'm going to use the other side of my scrap paper to put over my leaf and rub. Again, I'm pushing down. I've got the ink side down, remember, on my collection page, and I'm rubbing all across that leaf to really make a good leaf print. Let's see, make sure I pull my page down a little bit. Get the top part of that leaf. I think this one's gonna look great. Okay, so we'll take off our scrap paper and see how we did. It turned out great. And you can see we have a really nice leaf print of our yellow poplar. We've put our print in the center of the page, and we have our label down in the bottom right-hand corner. All right, now that I've made my print, you gotta let it dry about an hour or so at least before you're gonna put it in a notebook or put it in your collection. Here's an example of a collection, a 3-ring binder, not a real big one, but a nice kind of plain 3-ring binder. Did a little cover on it and have added leaves to this, and you get a 3-hole punch. This would be an example of a first-year collection. There are 10 different leaf prints in here. As you can see, all of them, the leaf is in the center, and we have our label in that bottom right-hand corner. And so again, a first year would be 10 different native leaves, and a second year would be 20 different native leaves, and then a third year would be 50 different native leaves. And you can find more information about leaf collection for state and county fair on the 4-H State Fair website, so you can find specific instructions there as well. But hopefully you all will enjoy making leaf prints, and if you choose, you can enter those in your county fair, and maybe they'll end up at state fair. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about making a leaf print, and happy collecting and making leaf prints.